Hello everyone and welcome to Life in Notions. My name is Christine and in today's video I am so excited to share with you the results of a long overdue project, and that is the transformation of our antique piano into my new dressing table. Originally built in 1889 by Elmore and Sons of London, our piano is no longer a musical instrument but rather a fun and functional piece of furniture, and I can't wait to show you all the features we've incorporated into this design. The piano used to be in our dining room, however neither Tim nor myself are especially musical, so it was simply a decorative piece. However, we decided to remove the piano from the dining room to make space for an antique sideboard which we purchased to hold our formal dinner service. The piano actually ended up residing in our garage for the best part of 2017. Initially, I had considered converting the piano into a crafting space to use in my crafts room. However, Tim went ahead and bought me a very large table, which is the perfect crafting space. I had no need to convert the piano to use in my crafts room after all, and I started to wonder what I should do with it. Ultimately, I decided what I really needed above all else was a dressing table for the bedroom. Every dressing table needs a mirror, and as you can see, we have added mirrors to the top section, behind which is a large storage space. Where the piano keys used to be, we have incorporated a generous table surface, so I now have plenty of space to play with my makeup and jewellery. And right at the back there, we added a section from the original piano lid, which used to sit over the keys. At the bottom, we have another spacious cupboard area. We found these adorable lion head door pulls, which we thought tied in perfectly with the rest of the brass accents in our bedroom. And if you notice, we have actually replaced the original piece of fabric that was on the piano stool to match our bedding. If you've been following our channel for a while, then you are most likely familiar with the fact that Tim and I are big fans of Marie Kondo's life-changing magic of tidying up. We've applied the KonMari Method throughout our entire home, and I'm going to show you next how I've applied it to all the items that are stored in my dressing table. As you can see behind me, I have a number of these beautiful wooden boxes on my dressing table, and they're all from Damascus, Syria. I've had them since I was a child, and they're back from the days when my family used to live out there. In each box there is a different subcategory. For example, this large one up here stores all of my nail products. This one here has my watch when I'm not wearing it, and down here I have another one which contains my makeup remover. On the left-hand side of this cupboard space, I have all of my jewellery neatly organised in these stackers trays, plus a little vanity mirror. In this tiny vintage suitcase, I keep all of the spare or less frequently accessed toiletries for the whole house. On the right hand side, I keep all of my makeup in this makeup train case and all of my makeup brushes in this basket. And last but not least is our piano stool. It no longer holds sheets of music, but rather it stores all of my hair products. Everything from hairbrushes to heat styling tools, with all of the little clips and hair ties in a clear Ziploc bag. So, in accordance with the KonMari method, and in keeping with the rest of our home, all the surfaces are kept clutter-free and everything's been organised into subcategories with all similar items stored together in one place. Personally, I prefer not to leave things out, and I prefer things out of sight. I don't wear makeup or jewellery every day, and I don't like to have things out on display either. So for me, personally, I find it really easy to just reach for my jewellery or makeup, use what I want and put it all away straight away. And that ensures that everything is kept neat, tidy and organised, and it's super easy to keep it all clean. So how did we do it? How did we transform an antique piano into a bespoke dressing table? Well, the very first thing we had to do was strip out everything that made the piano a musical instrument. So the first thing I did was I removed all the keys, the hammers, and then Tim helped me remove all the wires. Basically, we had to remove all the innards, the guts of the piano. And as we got deeper and deeper into the project, it became more and more difficult to do. If you've ever looked inside a piano, then you'll know that there's a huge amount going on inside there, and everything has been strung together at very high tension. So it is extremely important, particularly when removing the wires, that you are very, very careful you don't do yourself a serious injury. And by the way, I had never seen the inside of a piano before doing this project. We had originally left intact the very large wooden beams that were bracing together the structure of the piano at the back. However, as time went on, we realized they would need to be removed. First of all, they made the piano so incredibly heavy that there was no way, even with all of the musical parts removed, that we would be able to get it up the stairs. And secondly, these pieces of wood were huge, super thick pieces, solid beams of wood that meant they were eating into all the storage space that I wanted to create. It was very difficult removing those pieces of wood, and it took a long time to actually remove everything safely. There were enormous screws and bolts and nails throughout, and you just didn't know where they were going to crop up. So we had to saw through the wood with great care. Eventually, we were left with just the shell of the piano, and I painstakingly sanded down the entire piano, every inch, every nook, every cranny. And I used a belt sander for the larger areas and a detailed mouse sander for all of the smaller areas, and I finished it all off by hand. This took an enormous amount of work, and I did it to the point where I got past the veneer and all of the original wood stain. The piano was originally covered in a traditional mahogany veneer, and it wasn't in very good condition, but regardless, that finish wasn't the look that I was ultimately going for. I wanted the piano to tie in with our bedroom furniture. The only area where you can actually still see the original finish of the piano is the section of the piano lid, which we have bolted to the back of the table area. Next, I applied a mixture of 2 dark oak stains to create the stain colour that I wanted, and I applied that to all of the exposed wood throughout the entire piano structure. However, after all this hard work, I realised that I actually didn't care for how dark it looked. And so I went and purchased a tin of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in antique white, and I applied that to all the areas that I wished to lighten. Ultimately, as you can see, I decided to go for a high contrast between the dark wood stain and the antique white chalk paint. We then had to very carefully measure and cut different pieces of wood and MDF to create the shelf behind the mirrored section, the table, and also the floor to the cupboard space underneath. We used parts of my old wardrobe, which we had been storing in one of our attics, just in case we needed it for such a project. That same wardrobe also had a very large mirrored door section, so I removed the mirror from the door using a saw, and then using a glass cutting tool and some olive oil, I eventually managed to cut down to size 3 pieces of mirror to install in that top panel of the piano. I had never cut glass before, and it took many failed attempts before I was finally able to cut the 3 sections of mirror that you now see in place. We cut down to size a section of the piano lid which used to sit over the piano keys, and we cut it down to size so that it would snugly fit in between the shelf and the table surface of the piano. And that's because I really wanted to retain an original feature of the piano. The lower cupboards are actually cut from the original panel, which was in this area of the piano to begin with. And we actually used the original piano lid hinge and cut that down to size to use as the door hinges for those cupboard doors. Next, we added the cute little brass lion head door pulls, and finally a couple of magnets on the inside of the cupboard doors to ensure that they would stay closed and not swing open. One of the very final steps of this project was to replace the huge wooden beams which had been strengthening the back frame of the piano with beading boards which we bolted in place. Unfortunately, we ran out of beading board, and that was just beading board left over from a previous project, our mudroom hutch. And so the final section at the top was completed using garden trellis. The very last thing that we did was replace the fabric on the piano stool so that it would match our bedroom decor. It was not as easy as you might expect to hammer in the brass studs over the new piece of fabric. And in fact, I destroyed so many brass studs in the process that I gave up, and Tim actually finished the job for me. So thank you very much for hanging out with me today. I hope that you found this video interesting and enjoyable, and if you did, please do give it a thumbs up because it really helps out our channel. And if you're not already and you'd like to be, please subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss another one of our videos. Check out our website at lifeinnotions.com for further information. And if you've ever created a similar sort of DIY project, please do comment down below and tell us all about it. I would love to hear all about your projects. Thank you so much for watching. Take care, and we will see you in our next video.